A particular debate of recent is gaining more momentum in southeastern Nigeria. A kind of positive debate we don't often hear in this part of the country. However, the results of the 2023 general elections, more than many anticipated, has sparked a renewed drive for massive change and rapid opening up of the region, which for quite some time has been closed, and somehow infrastructurally stagnant and lacking so much touch of good governance. From the massive reconstruction of the Enugu-Onitsha superhighway, the Enugu-Harcourt Expressway, the Onitsha Expressway, etc. by the federal government. Two state governors, however, seems to have increasingly dominated the media space in the southeast for good reasons, which raises debate: who is better? And these governors are Otti of Abia State and Barrister Ndubuisi Mbah of Enugu State. In this video, more than anything, we'll go beyond perception politics to actual performance evaluation of both governors, even considering their unique backgrounds and resources at their disposal, and compare it with actual palpable results. We'll consider each one's impact in all aspects of governance with verified facts in order to arrive at an informed conclusion. And this analysis promises to be unbiased and straight to the point. Governor Otti and Mbah both came into office the same day under different party platforms, meeting various levels of assets and liabilities. For Otti, winning the governorship under the Labour Party and greatly benefiting from the patronage of the obedient movement against the then ruling PDP in the state. His election is in fact an epic in itself, considering the events that he came in with. This populist identity that he has developed among Abians has so much made governance so easy for him. And frankly, one won't be mistaken calling him the most popular governor in the southeast. On the other hand, Mbah's election story was surrounded with controversies, from the suspension of results announcements by INEC, the protests and counter-protests between the Kano and Soka people. In fact, the controversies continued even after he was announced the winner as the PDP candidate, until his victory was confirmed by the judiciary. These controversies explain why, unlike Otti, who enjoys a wide array of goodwill, Mbah is easily criticized, and much of his performances go under the radar. Now, any serious comparison of state-level performances under the current crop of governors must begin with the structural fiscal shift caused by the fuel subsidy removal in mid-2023, which fundamentally altered state finances across Nigeria. It's also important to state upfront that Enugu State has historically maintained a stronger infrastructural base than Abia State, owing to longer-standing public investment, administrative continuity, and its role as a former regional capital, meaning that the two states did not start from equal footing even before the current administrations. However, while this background advantage partly explains Enugu's relative head start, it does not negate the significance of the recent fiscal transformation, which has materially expanded the capacity of all states, including Abia, to close historical gaps. Prior to subsidy removal, most states, including Enugu and Abia, operated under a severe fiscal constraints, with monthly FAC allocation receipts in 2021 to 2022 typically ranging between 3 to 5 billion naira for Abia and 4 to 6 billion for Enugu, often insufficient to cover salaries, pensions, and debt servicing, leaving little room for capital expenditure. Following the subsidy removal and the related fiscal adjustments, state allocations increased sharply, in many cases doubling, and in some modes effectively tripling in nominal terms. By 2024 to 2025, Abia's monthly FAC receipts frequently ranged between 8 to 12 billion, while Enugu's receipts often fell between 10 to 15 billion naira, excluding internal generated revenue and special intervention funds. On an annual basis, this represents a shift from roughly 50 to 60 billion naira per year pre-subsidy to well over 120 to 150 billion naira annually post-subsidy for each state, depending on oil prices, VAT performances, and exchange rate effects. Even after adjusting for inflation, this increase remains materially significant and explains why many states that previously struggled to pay salaries now do so comfortably, while simultaneously expanding capital spending. This post-subsidy fiscal expansion also provides a broader explanatory lens for why infrastructure delivery has accelerated across several states in recent years, beyond Enugu and Abia alone. Take a clear example is Imo State, under Governor Hope Uzodinma, where infrastructure output in his second term has visibly outpaced his first. During Uzodinma's initial term, that's 2020 to 2023, capital execution was constrained by limited allocations, heavy legacy debts, and salary backlogs typical of pre-subsidy era. In contrast, post-subsidy period has coincided with significant higher and more predictable FAC inflows, enabling more aggressive road construction, urban renewal, and public infrastructure rollout. This pattern reinforces a key point. Improved fiscal capacity, rather than sudden administrative genius, explains much of the recent surge in visible infrastructure across the states, and should therefore be factored into any fair performance assessment of current administrations. This fiscal reality is critical. The post-2023 period is no longer one of scarcity management, but prioritization and execution, meaning that differences in outcome between states like Enugu and Abia are less about revenue availability and more about policy choices, budgetary emphasis, and administrative capacity. It is within this context of expanded fiscal headroom that the investments of governors Peter Mbah and Alex Otti must be evaluated, not against the excuses of pre-subsidy era, but against the opportunities created by significant higher and more predictable state revenues. Putting into consideration these unique backgrounds, let's evaluate the various achievements of both governors across health, education, infrastructure, tourism, transport, social, security, and governance sectors, project for project. Under Governor Alex Otti, Abia State's health sector reforms have focused on a rapid system revival and access anchored by the 10 billion project Ekweme, which targets the rehabilitation, retrofitting, and equipping of 200 primary health care centers across all wards to restore grassroots healthcare delivery, alongside upgrades of key medical facilities such as the Abia State Specialist Hospital and the restoration of accreditation at AFSUT to strengthen tertiary care and medical training. While the administration's long-term vision is embodied in the proposed 1.3 billion Abia Medical City, conceived as a quaternary healthcare hub to curb medical tourism and attract global partnerships. In contrast, Governor Peter Mbah's approach in Enugu is broader in scale and more system-driven, combining construction of 260 brand new solar-powered Type 2 primary healthcare centers designed for 24-hour service, the upgrading and re-equipping of Type 3 and secondary facilities across multiple local government areas, aggressive healthcare sector digitalization, workforce expansion through strengthened training institutions, and major tertiary investments, including the 300-bed Enugu International Hospital and the Enugu African Medical City, a $200 million flagship globally oriented project intended to position Enugu as a regional and international healthcare destination, making Abia's healthcare strategy more rehabilitation-focused and access-driven in the short term, while Enugu's model reflects a more expansive, capital-intensive restructuring of healthcare infrastructure across primary, secondary, and advanced tertiary levels with clear medical tourism ambitions, which gives him a slight edge. Now, when the education records of Governor Peter Mbah and Alex Otti are examined critically with attention to delivery rather than rhetoric, the gap becomes clearer. In Enugu State, Mbah's administration has backed its education overhaul with exceptional high budgetary commitment, consistently allocating 32 to 33% of the total state budget from 2024 to 2026, translating into hundreds of billions of naira annually, one of the highest education shares in Nigeria. Crucially, this spending has moved beyond plans into substantial physical delivery. As of now, approximately 40 of the 260 smart green schools has been completed and operational, with dozens more at advanced construction stages, alongside complementary investments in TVET centers, smart senior secondary schools, teacher retraining, digital curriculum rollout, and school feeding programs. While critics still question pace related to ambition, the existence of 40 completed functional smart schools decisively weakens claims that Enugu's program is merely conceptual or budget heavy without outputs. It establishes a clear pipeline from allocation to assets, even if full system-wide outcomes will take longer to materialize. By contrast, Alex Otti's record in education, though often defended on the grounds of fiscal prudence, appears less impressive when judged against outcomes. Abia's education budgets, generally around 20% of total expenditure, meeting UNESCO's benchmarks, are respectable on paper but significantly smaller in absolute terms than Enugu's. And more importantly, have not yet produced landmark future-oriented infrastructure at scale. The most publicized smart school initiative in Abia has not yielded a completed, fully functional smart school to date and remains largely at the level of retrofitting, pilots or announcements, while the administration points to school renovations, teacher recruitment, and payment of arrears and rehabilitation of existing facilities. Critics argue that these are maintenance-level interventions, not transformative investments capable of repositioning Abia's education system competitively. And this criticism is sharpened by the contrast with Enugu's despite similar post-subsidy fiscal advantages. Abia has yet to demonstrate a comparable conversion of education spending into new technologically equipped education assets. As a result, the smart school narrative in Abia is increasingly viewed by observers as under-delivered relative to publicity, lacking visible proof points that justify the branding. Taken together, the comparison suggests that Peter Mbah's administration currently outperforms Alex Otti in education when measured by scale, ambition translated into infrastructure, and capital formation, even while legitimate questions remain about the long-term efficiency and learning outcomes in Enugu. Abia's approach, while orderly and stabilizing, appears conservative and structurally limited, with no equivalent to Enugu's completed smart schools on the ground. In practical terms, Enugu can now point to dozens of operational, purpose-built smart schools as evidence of execution, whereas Abia's education record is still defined more by system repair, fiscal discipline, than by transformative delivery. On the balance, and based on verifiable outputs, Enugu's educational reforms under Mbah currently rank higher in performance than Abia's under Otti. I want to move away into road infrastructure. From 2023, both administrations entered office with different starting points, and that difference is often used to block comparison. Enugu was said to have better roads already, while Abia was described as battered and broken. That background matters, but it does not still erase responsibility. What matters is what each governor chose to do from 2023 onward. How fast, how wide, and at what level of ambition. In Abia State, Governor Alex Otti's road story is anchored in the restoration and rehabilitation of long-neglected urban connectors and key commercial arteries, and this orientation has remained consistent over the past 3 years. One of the most visible and frequently cited achievements under his administration has been the reconstruction of the Port Harcourt Road in Abia, a roughly 6.7-kilometer dual carriage road that has been in existence in decades of disrepair and was built to modern standard with improved drainage, broader lanes, and durable pavements, drawing public commendation from national leadership at its commissioning. Alongside Port Harcourt Road, Otti's government has undertaken a large-scale rehabilitation of 90 roads across the state under the Zero Pothole Policy, a program that has rebuilt and reopened dozens of routes that have been impassable, including the long-forgotten and difficult Ohanku Road and the Ovum erosion site. In June 2025, the governor personally commissioned 14 newly completed roads in Abia Metropolitan, core as part of his urban renewal agenda that reshaped the city's internal circulation and business accessibility. Beyond this, Abia's infrastructure narrative also includes other reconstructed connectors like the Ndobuisi Road, Ajiwe Road, Pebble Road, Gebrumosu Road, Nko Road, and Umuataka Road, many of which were highlighted during the September 2025 commissioning ceremony of the Port Harcourt Road corridor, where the President of Nigeria praised the administration for restoring what had been lost. Otti's government also inaugurated the first 6-lane road in Umuahia, named after Agui, linking Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway Tower Junction into Umuahia, signaling a willingness to build infrastructure that supports higher traffic volume and enhances capital city connectivity. The focus in Abia has been clear. Take a state where many roads were badly deteriorated, breathing life back into them, and knit key commercial corridors together. Yet, while many of these works are significant for urban cohesion, they remain largely reconstruction and rehabilitation projects focused on intra-city mobility with only limited evidence on large-scale intercity and longer overhaul expansion. In Enugu State, Governor Peter Mbah's road infrastructure narrative has been centered on expansion, systemic network building, and strategic dualization. Early in his tenure in 2023, Mbah's government scoped and initiated the construction and rehabilitation of about 71 urban roads within the Enugu metropolis, cutting across major layouts such as Transekulu, Ababa, Okonano, Kokap, Asata, New Layout, Achara Layout, as part of the broader strengthening of the city's internal grid and traffic circulation systems. Beyond those urban streets, the state identified rural and inter-zone connectors and potential flyover sites to ease habitual congestion. This ambitious urban work was integrated with strategic arterial corridors. Mbah flagged up projects that included a 17-kilometer dual carriageway of the new Enugu city expansion, as well as a 40-kilometer dual carriageway linking Obaho, Amankano, Neke, Ikem, and then the simultaneous construction or rehabilitation of urban grids in a coordinated program intended for completion within a defined time frame, a model that aimed to shift the state from stopgap fixes to coherent infrastructure logic across scales. From 2023 to 2024, the state government approved road infrastructure packages, which has constructed and reconstructed 71 and 90 urban roads, respectively. We flagged construction and reconstruction of 141 urban roads across the metropolis in 2025 and 20 rural roads across the wider state to expand access and integration for both market and farm communities. This package includes not only street grids, but also complex connectors like the dualization of the Abanike Opinsoka Road, about 41 km, with associated bridges, dualization from Pennock Junction, Nike Lake Road to T Junction Flyover, and several major rural link corridors, such as the Nome Mburubu Nara Road, with 2 bridges, Omabe Ehuhachi, with spurs to Abude, Ihe, Oweli, Ogugu, on the old Enugu Port Harcourt Road, and the seat of local government areas collectors, designed to knit urban and rural economies more tightly. In 2025, Mbah's infrastructure narrative expanded further into urban roads across the 13 zones of Enugu City, including Ababa, Achara Layout, Asata, Okonano, Kokam, Independence Layout, New Haven, Old GRA, Tinker's Corner, Transekulu, and Owani. A program positioned not as patchwork but as ongoing phase build-out of the state's streetscapes, with contracted lots, supervision, and quality assurance embedded in the planning and promised completion timelines. This distinction between the two states becomes pronounced when one examines the overall orientation and ambition of the infrastructure portfolios. In Abia, the roads program emphasizes restorative rehabilitation on heavily trafficked urban arteries, with landmark reconstruction such as the Port Harcourt Road, clustered urban renewal roads, and expanded city connectivity. In Enugu, Mbah's road program couples urban grid densification with strategic arterial expansion and multi-kilometer dualization, showing a pattern of network growth that aims to link intra-city, peri-urban, and interlocal government area movements into a cohesive system. Where Abia's works are transformative for local mobility and commerce, Enugu's road investment incorporates network thinking, scale, and future-proofed corridors that support broader economic and logistical flows. Each state's approach reflects a blend of local priorities and capacity, but publicly reported evidence shows that Enugu has pursued a broader scale and greater systemic integration of road infrastructure and more roads per kilometer, while Abia's efforts, though substantial, remains more concentrated on urban rehabilitation and rural key connectors. In the transportation sector, Governor Alex Otti of Abia State has begun laying the foundation for a more organized urban intercity transport system, most notably through the introduction of the Abia Green Shuttle Service, a fleet of 20 electric buses aimed at providing safer, environmental-friendly mobility in Aba and Umuahia, complemented by the construction of modern bus terminals at both Umuahia and Aba to manage passenger flow and improve commuter experience, signaling the state's first real effort at formalizing public transport. However, these initiatives remain in the early phases of deployment and are yet to cover the full state, with the bus network still limited in scale and frequency. In contrast, Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu State has implemented a more comprehensive, operationally integrated transport system, including the construction and commissioning of 5 modern bus terminals across the state, fully equipped with amenities like ticketing halls, passenger lounges, and CNG refueling stations, alongside a mass transit bus program featuring hundreds of CNG buses operating across urban and intercity routes, effectively creating a functional, multimodal public transport ecosystem that has eased congestion, enhanced commuter safety, and linked key economic and residential zones. While Otti's achievement represents a meaningful steps towards structured urban mobility and environmental sustainability, Mbah's record demonstrates fully operational, scalable, and user-ready transport infrastructure, suggesting that in terms of systemic transformation of the transport sector, terminals, fleet deployment, and multimodal integration, Enugu under Peter Mbah has achieved more tangible, impactful results than Abia under Alex Otti, whose initiatives, though promising, are largely foundational and still expanding. In tourism, under Governor Alex Otti, Abia has made significant strides in identifying and preserving its rich and natural heritage, with over 55 heritage and tourism sites officially catalogued across the 17 local government areas, including caves, waterfalls, historical compounds, the National War Museum in Umuahia, and the Ojugu Bunker, reflecting a deliberate effort to reactivate and reposition existing attractions. Infrastructure improvements, such as reliable electricity distribution and early initiatives to revive hospitality, including the Mbah Hotel in Abia, alongside introduction of electric buses, has laid a foundational framework to support tourism and enhance visitor experience. In contrast, Enugu State under Governor Peter Mbah has combined strategic planning with tangible large-scale infrastructure delivery. Most notably, the revival and completion of the International Conference Center, the Hotel Presidential, and the construction of a modern 5-star hotel linked to the ICC, significantly increasing accommodation and event hosting capacity, which was demonstrated as Enugu hosted the NBA conference in 2025. Beyond the existing infrastructure, Mbah's administration is actively executing projects such as the 600-meter canopy walkway near the Sude Pyramid, the upgrades of the Ohum waterfall, the first zip line in Ngwo Pine Forest, and the development of parks, recreational zones across the state like the Naji Park, Ngwo Park, Cool Camp Park, and others, all backed by substantial government funding exceeding 13 billion naira in the first phase, part of a broader 30 billion naira tourism development plan. Enugu has also invested in urban beautification, transport terminals, and medical tourism infrastructure, including a 300-bed international hospital to attract health visitors, making tourism development both visible and multidimensional. While Otti's approach has focused on heritage discovery, preservation, and building the foundation for future tourism, Mbah has delivered more concrete achievements on the ground, reviving abandoned infrastructure, initiating large-scale construction projects, and visibly transforming Enugu into a growing tourism hub, demonstrating that in terms of realized output and executions, Enugu tourism sector under Peter Mbah has advanced further, whereas Abia under Alex Otti is still laying the groundwork for future growth. In the power sector under Alex Otti in Abia, the landscape has seen a mix of historical context and new policy moves. The 181 to 188 megawatts geometric power plant in Abia, which today supplies reliable electricity to a ring-fenced part of Abia, including the 9 local government areas, and has transformed power availability for businesses and homes, was commissioned in 2024, but originated from a project conceived and started long before his administration, around 2004, and only came to fruition over many years with support from multiple stakeholders and federal involvement. This means the facility itself is not solely an Otti achievement, though his government has supported its activation and highlighted its benefits. Building on this, Otti signed the Abia State Electricity Bill into law in 2025, creating a legal framework to state-level power generation, transmission, distribution, and regulation, and has approved a 10 megawatt independent power project at Abia State University in Enugu to deliver steady electricity locally, showing an effort to foster decentralization to energy solution beyond the geometric plant. Additionally, the state is negotiating for the takeover of electricity supply in additional local government areas from the national grid distributors. and has pursued investments like transformers and renewable energy conversion to reduce dependence on national grid collapses, aiming to build a more autonomous power system. In contrast, in Enugu, Governor Peter Mbah has focused on strengthening regulatory and service delivery framework by signing the Enugu State Electricity Law in 2023 and operationalizing Enugu State Electricity Regulatory Commission, enabling improved regulatory oversight and a more enabling environment for private-public participation in power generation and distribution. This has helped industrial clusters and businesses access more reliable electricity, even though Enugu doesn't host a single large standalone generation plant like the geometric in Abia. And while its achievements in distribution and sector reform are structural and aimed at sustainable supply, Abia's progress has been marked by practical activation of a major power generation asset and early deployment of smaller independent projects under Otti's watch, meaning Abia's serious power supply transformation today is most visible through geometric operational impact, a project completed but started long before Otti. And Enugu's gains are more institutional and regulatory, strengthening the state's ability to attract and manage reliable electricity. However, Abia takes the lead here. In terms of environment and overall cleanliness, there is a measurable data showing that Enugu State ranks highly at the national level. According to the State of Nigerian Environment, Stone 2025 Cleanliness Performance Index, Enugu was graded one of the cleanest states in Nigeria, placing second nationally with about 65% on the cleanliness index, behind Akwa Ibom, which topped the ranking at 72%. A strong indicator of environmental performance across measures like street and road cleanliness, vegetation, drainage control, and waste management services. Under Governor Peter Mbah, Enugu State government has maintained regular sanitation campaigns, coordinated drain clearance, and alongside infrastructure upgrades, and engaged task force to enforce environmental laws, resulting in broader recognition in national cleanliness assessments. While Abia State under Governor Otti also conducts periodic environmental initiatives, including Operation Clean All Gutters and Drains sanitation exercises, and house-to-house waste collection drives supported by the Abia State Environmental Protection Agency to improve solid waste management. Publicly available rankings do not yet place Abia at the same level in the national cleanliness indices as Enugu. Taken together, the data suggests that Enugu's effort in sanitation, waste management, and environmental recognition has achieved visibility at national scale, while Abia programs remains important locally, but have not yet translated into similar high national ranking. In the water sector, in Abia State, Governor Alex Otti has focused on expanding access and rehabilitation of existing water infrastructure, notably through the Abia State Water Supply Sanitation Hygiene Program. Key interventions include rehabilitation of Obo Hill, CKC, area water scheme, installation of solar power facilities, and community-level boreholes in multiple rural areas, designed to improve both urban and rural access. Otti statutory prioritizes rich and wash integration, ensuring more residents can access clean water directly from taps and boreholes. In Enugu State, Governor Peter Mbah has emphasized boosting production capacity and modernizing supply networks. Major projects include rehabilitation of the Nightman and Oji River water schemes, bringing the overall water pumping capacity from 2 million liters per day to 120 million liters per day, one of the biggest in the country. Reticulation upgrades across urban areas and commissioning of rural solar-powered boreholes in communities. While production capacity has increased significantly, reticulation challenges remain, affecting consistent delivery to all households in a state which topography lacks its water potential. In comparative performance, Abia's programs excel in community access and rural coverage, while Enugu stands out in volume, scheme rehabilitation, and urban network expansion. Both have made measurable improvements, reflecting different approaches to addressing water needs. Abia, from a topographic advantage, goes to access and reach, unlike Enugu, which goes to capacity and system modernization. In response to security, in Abia State, Governor Alex Otti has prioritized security through practical, frontline focused measures. His administration launched Operation Crush, designed to swiftly tackle crime hotspots, while also distributing 20 patrol vehicles to police and paramilitary agencies to strengthen rapid response across the state. Complementing this, the Abia State Security Trust Fund was established to mobilize resources from government, businesses, and communities, ensuring sustainable funding for equipment, personnel, and local security initiatives. These interventions have yielded notable improvements in some areas, particularly in urban centers and high-risk localities, reflecting a strategy that focuses on direct action, manpower deployment, and community cooperation. In contrast, Enugu State under Peter Mbah has pursued a more systemic and technologically driven approach. From the outset, Mbah instituted the Enugu State Security Trust Fund and launched the Distress Response Squad, a rapid response unit equipped with over 150 patrol vehicles, motorcycles, drones, and AI-enabled command and control infrastructures with CCTV cameras across various parts of the state. These technological enhancements, coupled with widespread coverage in both urban and rural areas, have allowed for real-time monitoring, predictive policing, and quicker response times. The combination of equipment, data-driven coordination, and strategic planning has positioned Enugu as a model in security management, a fact reinforced by recent reports, ranking Enugu as the safest state in the southeast. Evaluating the outcomes, it is clear that both governors have made significant achievements in security, but their strategies differ. Otti's approach is hands-on and community-focused, effective in enhancing police presence and addressing immediate security needs. Mbah's, however, is a more comprehensive, technologically integrated, and system-oriented, achieving broader coverage, faster response, and a higher public confidence. Considering both the resources deployed and the scope of the coverage and the measurable improvements, Enugu under Mbah has clearly taken the lead in security performance, demonstrating how strategic planning and modern infrastructure can amplify results beyond what traditional frontline methods can achieve. Then finally, among the most significant flagship projects of both administrations, Governor Peter Mbah's portfolio demonstrates a comprehensive, tangible transformation across industrial, commercial, and urban development. Central to this is the new Enugu Smart City, which has moved decisively from planning to execution, with land acquisition and site preparation completed, as well as internal road networks, utility grids for power and water under phased developments. The first residential and commercial industrial blocks are set to take off in a matter of months. Complementing this is the Lion Business Park, a free trade zone designed to attract domestic and international investors, providing a dedicated hub for startups and established businesses alongside the development of the Enugu's first international market, which aims to create a globally oriented commercial ecosystem. Each of these projects is visibly progressing on the ground, integrating with transport corridors and supporting broader economic growth and urban mobilization. By contrast, Governor Alex Otti's flagship progress in Abia, including the area modernization and the Azumini Industrial and Innovation Park and port-linked development plans, are in varying stages of preparatory work and structural development. The area modernization is making important improvements to infrastructure and trading facilities within the markets and is still in phase development. And Azumini Park and port-linked initiatives are still primarily earthworks and planning, with functional and industrial innovation facilities yet to match the scale or operationalization observed in Enugu. The comparison highlights a clear difference in execution. While Enugu under Mbah is producing visible operational results, signaling immediate economic and technological impact, Abia under Otti emphasizes planning, groundwork, and market-level modernization, leaving much of the transformative potential prospective. From detailed review of both governors, the records across health, education, infrastructure, tourism, power, environment, water, security, and governance, a clear pattern emerges. Peter Mbah of Enugu State consistently demonstrates a broader systemic planning, higher scale of execution, and more transformative outcomes. While Alex Otti of Abia State, though highly popular and visible, largely emphasizes restoration and access and foundational improvements. In infrastructure, for instance, Mbah's approach links urban grids with peripheral and rural arteries expansions, dualization, and bridges, effectively future-proofing Enugu transport network. This work, while critical for Abia and Umuahia, focuses on urban rehabilitation and intra-city connectivity, making it highly visible but less integrative at state scale. Similarly, in education and health, Enugu has delivered operational smart schools, modern primary and tertiary healthcare facilities, and medical tourism halls, Whereas Abia's programs, despite significant planning and fiscal prudence, are largely at rehabilitation or pilot stage. The same trend appears in water, power, and security. Enugu emphasizes capacity, institutional strength, and systemic modernization, while Abia focuses on reach, activation of existing assets, and community-level solutions. For governance, Mbah's administration is more structured and technology-enabled, consolidating tax systems, improving IGR efficiency, and enhancing transparency. Otti's administration, while effective in mobilizing resources and gaining popular approval, operates with fragmented tax systems and less institutionalized process. Despite this, social media perception often favors Otti. His populist profile, amplified by obedient networks and high media visibility, gives the impression of a superior performance, masking the nuance and data-driven reality. Part of this misperception is the deliberate expenditure on publicity, which has historically outpaced Enugu's more performance-driven communication strategy. Ultimately, a non-sentiment, evidence-based assessment positions Peter Mbah as outperforming Alex Otti across nearly every measurable metric, from systemic infrastructure development and health and education delivery to security, governance, and environmental management. Popularity and online noise may skew public perception, but the tangible, verifiable results shows that Enugu's administration under Mbah has not only capitalized on fiscal opportunities, but also translated them into transformative, sustainable outcomes that set a benchmark for the Southeast region.